Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Hey, welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm so glad you're joining me today, although it is so cold here. It is so cold here in northern Colorado. It's been snowing. It's very foggy outside. It's very dark. Oh, goodness. I had to run some kitchen scraps out to my chickens today. And they were all cooped up inside. They're not coming outside. And I threw all the scraps in there, and they're just, they're just kind of miserable because they're all inside. And so they're just at everybody. And gosh, I already miss spring. I already miss it. So anyway, we'll plow through because that's what we do. But man, I'm such a summer girl. So I hope wherever you are, you're getting good weather and you're not getting socked in with snow, but I have a feeling you might be. It's that time of year. I got a great show for you today. I want to talk about this topic that is, it just came upon me and I was like, that's really interesting. So I was flipping through some stuff, looking for some, good things to talk about with you today. And I saw a clip from Glenn Beck. And he's talking about AI And, he's been following AI a lot, and he's got some really good takes on AI and what have you. So, it's good stuff. But just the way he was talking about it, I thought, oh, yes, I do want to talk about this. I really want to talk about this. It's the brain rot. It's the brain rot that we are experiencing because of the algorithm, because of our engagement with technology. I hate to say it, but it's changing us as humans. And to stick our head in the sand and be like, oh, it's really not, or is naive. There is noticeable marked difference between pre-technology, I guess you could say, and now. And he's talking about it. People are, doing studies on it and whatnot. And, let's just go to the clip, and then I'll tell you some of the other thoughts I had. So here it is. Here's Glenn Beck on your brain rot.
Time just gone, just vanished into what? Updates, scrolls. What is it that we're reading? Seriously. Are we exercising our soul with deep thought? Do you know that leisure reading in the U.S. has fallen? Only 16% of Americans age 15 plus read for their own enjoyment on an average day. 15. That number was almost 30% in 2003. Fewer books. U.S. adults in 2021 said they read on average 12.6 books a year, down from 15 in 2002 to 2016. So we're losing reading skills. We're losing deeper thought. We're losing hours of conversation. We're losing how many hours of reflection? At least minutes, maybe 100 minutes. Our attention spans. How long can you focus on something? The second screen was different. When we first started Blaze, I talked about doing second screen technology, and it wasn't because you couldn't watch something. They're now talking about taking your TV show or your Netflix show and dumbing it down so much because people are watching or they're scrolling while they're watching the TV, and so they can't follow a complex storyline. Oh my gosh, we are just going to be just stupid slugs. Everything that we're doing online is fracturing attention, memory, and sustained reasoning. So at what point does this become an epidemic? At what point are our minds starving for any kind of nutrition as we just feed them calories of noise?
Calories of noise. I love that, actually, because it gives you some vocabulary around it. When what he said there at the beginning, like we're scrolling, just wasting time. What are we looking at? Because, just doing an audit of my own time that I spend online, I'm not happy with the content I'm looking at. It's not intriguing. It's not interesting. There's news on there that I often will grab, the topic and then go and do further research on it to really flesh out what it means. So I guess there's that value in it. But there's a lot of things that I see that the content isn't what I'm going there for. So you have to ask yourself, why am I going here? And we aren't being controlled by information. We're not addicted to the information that we're taking in on TikTok, on Instagram, on X. It's not so much the information or even YouTube. I had the thought that it's really the platform that is controlling us. And the reason why I thought of this was because you remember during COVID when everybody was pissed off at YouTube for censoring people. Facebook, everybody was pissed off at Facebook for censoring people. And Did anybody leave though? They didn't, did they? And if they did leave, they came back. And there were other companies that tried to come in and take the place, things like Parler. Remember Parler? There were other platforms. Even Rumble is a product of, I think, a lot in part of people's unhappiness with YouTube and BitChute and all these other platforms. But nobody can take the place of YouTube. And nobody can take the place of Facebook, right? It didn't stick. And the reason why it didn't stick, you guys, is because these algorithms are researched and there's strategy behind them, and it's about the timing, and it's about the way the platform looks, and what, and there's a guy out there right now, Chase Hughes, which I've looked into him quite a bit. I've listened to a few of his podcasts and whatnot, and he studies patterns. He used to work for the CIA. Probably still does. I don't know. But you know what they say about the CIA, you'd never leave, right? But he studies patterns, and this has been his job, to study patterns and the brain. And he has kind of cracked a bit of a code with the algorithm where he can not even be looking at the algorithm or someone's feed, and he can tell you the placement of what you'll see. So he'll say, so if you scroll up, it might be a picture of an animal, somebody helping an animal. And then if you're down, it's something that's going to make you feel bad about your health. If you go down one more, it'll be this and that. Like he has the pattern completely cracked. And so it's not the content that we're addicted to. It is the platform itself, the algorithm itself. That is what's keeping us hooked to the portal. So it's interesting because we're not even pleased with the content. And I've mentioned several times on here before, like, I don't even know why I'm getting fed all this. These people I do not follow, it's pay to play. People are getting placed in your algorithm. We have no idea why. Like, it's a grand manipulation. And we have to take that into account when we're processing information and whatnot. This is the other thought I had, kind of like, circumstances don't really change the person, right? Like, they often just kind of make you more of who you already are. So like with COVID, if you were somebody that questioned the government, if you were somebody that, doesn't go along to get along, but is a critical thinker and doesn't just accept things. Well, when COVID came along, you acted a certain way. Well, and the opposite is true, right? People who had the personality traits that kind of just go along to get along and just like don't disrupt the peace and, value authority and don't ever question authority, well, they went right along with it. It didn't really change anybody. It just highlighted who people were publicly. And I think that's what's happening with AI. And I think that's what's happening with the shift into virtual reality. Those of us who pursue truth actively and are looking for what is real, we're getting frustrated with this. We're getting frustrated with, why you keep telling me what to think and who I should be following and what I should be reading, when other people, they're quite fine with what it feels like to me, reality being swallowed up by a synthetic reality. Some people don't even seem, I've been saying this for months and months, years probably now, that there's this blurring of reality and virtual. And it's becoming more and more apparent in reality that people are living by the virtual world. You know, I was talking to you a little bit about just my daughter's experience in a ride share. I can't go away from the map on the tells me I gotta go here, and you're going the wrong way. Oh, I know, but I can't. The app's telling me, like, what do I do? Like, what is this? Insane. Stay tuned. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. We'll be right back.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Welcome back. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. 2 hours every day, Monday through Friday, right here, 7 a.m. now. We're starting in the morning. I'm liking this change. Tell us what you think about it in the comments. We're so glad you're here. So I had some other thoughts, like about Glenn Beck was talking about the fact that the AI agents are coming. Ooh, the AI agents are coming. Yeah, everybody's programming theirs right now. If you're using Chat GPT, if you're using Grok, whatever you're using, OpenAI, you're programming your AI agent right now. And it's taking data on you. And yes, your phone is listening to you. And it's collecting all this data and it's getting a feel for who you are. And then it's going to be your agent, meaning it'll be your proxy, I guess. You know, it can go out and do business for you. If you want to book an airline flight, as long as it has your, access to your bank account, to your credit cards, it will be able to do that for you. It will be your synthetic representation of yourself in the world. And that's crazy. Just feels crazy, right? But it's happening. It's here. It's hard to get your mind around. But it just kind of got me, like, not to get too philosophical here, but it got me kind of thinking about, like, how much has been real in the world, even before this. So before we started dealing with the digital revolution and this blur between the virtual online world and what we experience here in reality, things were already happening in our society that was shaping, changing reality into something else. I have this other clip I want to share with you. This just kind of demonstrates the absurdity, just the absurdity of what we're doing here. Take a listen and watch to this.
And text. How about this? Can we go from the patterns of your brain when you're looking at an image to reconstructing the image? So the way this worked was they put human beings inside an fMRI machine. They had them look at images and figure out what the patterns are, like translate from image to brain patterns. And then, of course, they would hide the image. So this is a image of a giraffe that the computer has never seen. It's only looking at the fMRI data, and this is what the computer thinks the human is seeing. Yeah. Now, to get state of the art, here's where the combinatorial aspects, why you can start to see these are all the same demo. To do this kind of imaging, the latest paper, the one that happened even after this, which is already better, uses stable diffusion, uses the thing that you use to make art.
So when you view something like this, just to be clear here, so what's going on here is the computer is mapping brain neural pathways, and somehow it's translating that information into a synthesized version of what a human brain, takes in when they see something. The image, the same image that a human sees by copying the neural pathways of a human brain. Just think about that, right? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? We are creating a synthesized version of ourselves. Why do we need that? I guess I'm just like, why do we need this? We have synthesized so many things that already occur naturally in this beautiful earth that we live on. And in the process of doing that, we've ruined a lot of things. And in the name of what? Right? Like we had herbs, we have plant medicine, we have, all pharmaceuticals are derived from some natural compound that's been synthesized. And synthesized because you can't patent anything that, occurs naturally. You have to change it and synthesize it, basically corrupt it, and then turn it into something that you can patent and then sell. We've done the same thing with agriculture, right? Instead of working with the land and what we know is best practices for soil, for seed, for growing. No, that wasn't good enough. We've corrupted that process. We have, genetically modified seeds. We have poisoned our soils and robbed them from their nutrients by monocropping and doing it better, right, than nature. And now we're about to do that with humans. And it's just a crazy thing. Like it's just a crazy thing that there's no real agency from the greater population when it comes to all this stuff. We didn't ask for it. We're getting it whether we like it or not. And the impact it's going to have right now is immeasurable. Because how does one, square, if you will, rationalize, compute, talking to yourself, right? Because we have these AI agents coming on board, which is a synthetic replica of you that you have trained through your patterns and your interaction with it. And now this is essentially a synthetic version of you that will operate in the virtual. It's just like, okay, why are we doing this? Right? Why are we doing this? The blurring of reality, I would say truth, and narrative or image has been going on in this country for a long time. And it's we have to kind of wrestle with this idea of why are we not okay with truth? Why are we not okay with reality? It's an interesting question, right? Like, why is it not good enough? I, for a long time, have said that America has a hero problem. We're addicted to heroes. And that can be good, in the way that it's inspiring and, it encourages people. It makes you feel a certain way. But I think that perhaps we have this hero problem is because we're such a young country and we have such high aspirations, and it's kind of like, gung ho and go and like, let's do it. And so we're vulnerable to being manipulated with propaganda, with what I call the hero problem. And when I say hero problem, I say that sometimes we will accept stories that aren't necessarily true because we don't even bother to look into them. We just kind of accept the hero quality. Ben Shapiro's out on the circuit and on a podcast, and I was shocked that he actually admitted this. I knew this. You probably know it too, but take a listen.
I'll be honest with you, since after standing for Hitler, I was like, how much further can he go? So tell me, how much further can he go? I missed it.
He said that Rosa Parks was like a plant, like she was planted there.
In what way? Like of the Jews, or like
no, like when like
to
the
create chaos.
Yeah, like the whole situation on the bus.
Racial
was like,
divide.
that was
okay. So I mean, I assume that he's garbling the actually fairly cool story of Rosa Parks, right? Which is that the NAACP had in fact recruited her for like in advance, and they said she'll be an ideal plaintiff, and they'd actually said, go sit on the bus in this particular place, and then we'll have the lawsuit against the bus line. So that, I mean, that's true. I don't know what he actually said. It is true that was not, it wasn't like she spontaneously sat down on the bus and then they sued but that doesn't take away from her story. In fact, I think it makes it a cooler story. I think it's cool that they actually were like, okay, we're going to plan this out. We're going to get a good basis for a lawsuit. Rosa Parks is an attractive face for the plaintiff and do it like.
Is that what you were told? Were you told that the NAACP planned the whole thing? Because that's not what I was told, right? I was told to believe in a hero, a tired lady, right, who would not give up her seat on the bus because she was just too dang tired that day. And that's the way that went down. She was a courageous figure, that just had enough, man. Just an individual that had enough with the way the world was working and stood up for her rights. Nobody ever said anything about the NAACP to me. Did they to you? No. And this story isn't an isolated one. It isn't. And I think if we're going to mature into this, into this kind of a new world, if you will, and we're going to start to, everybody says this is the Great Awakening, right? This is the Great Awakening. All lies will be revealed. And if we're going to embrace the Great Awakening, then we're going to have to accept responsibility for the fact that we like feeling good and we like the stories of the heroes. And we have to grapple with that and understand that most stories, they're just not tied up in a nice big red bow and put on a platter. I mean, you live life, I live life, and most of my experiences, even though I've had great experiences and I have wonderful stories, they're rarely like something that's lines up perfectly in sequence and ends with a big happy ending. It's very rare. And I'm sure you could probably say the same thing. It's time. It is imperative for the future to truly embrace the truth. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert-Garcia. I'm so glad you're here. We'll be right back.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Hey, do you buy wellness products? I think you probably do, because the last time I looked, it was over 75% of Americans purchased vitamins, purchased wellness products. So I'm inviting you to browse our store at naturallyinspiredstore.com. We have different protocols for different needs, and we'd appreciate your support over there. If you're going to buy wellness products, you might as well support this mission of changing the medical model and connecting people to real solutions for health. So here I am, just busting open the doors here and breaking all the mythology around, or as the kids say, I guess today, the lore. I'm breaking down the lore here about all these heroes that we idolize. And this is a problem because we accept these public images as polished. They're very simplified, like the Rosa Parks story, right? I mean, it's still a great story, but when you lie to me about it, or when you try to polish it up and, you hide all the truth around it, it really takes away from it. To me, it does, and Ben Shapiro's a little bit of a gaslighter here, right? He's like, oh, I think everybody knows that, and I think it just makes the story better. Does it? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, Ben. No, it doesn't. We feel lied to totally. So, so there's a lot of things that we need to be revisiting and getting down to business about what's true and, what is reality. Because I think because we were accepting a lot of the lore when it came to heroes and whatnot, I think that's made it really, it's magnified the problem in the digital revolution, the blurring of the virtual reality, right? And the real life. I think it's, we've been living lies. We have been. And I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, but it's the truth. And so I just looked up a few because I thought, well, this will be interesting. So, a lot of people idolize Martin Luther King Jr. And he did a wonderful thing. I mean, he had wonderful accomplishments, right? But also, his public image is that he's flawless, he's saint-like, he's universally adored. And that's great. Wonderful. But he also had a lot of extramarital affairs. And there was a pretty strong dislike of him at the time. And nobody ever really talks about that now. And he opposed the Vietnam War and was criticized. He criticized capitalism. And he was under massive FBI surveillance. We don't talk about that. I'm not saying saying he wasn't a great historical figure or a great civil rights leader. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we tend to polish our heroes up, and then we forget about all of the other things that come along with a flawed human being. And that also takes a toll on the individual person, because we idolize these heroes. Oh, this person's a hero. I could never be like that. I could never write those kinds of speeches. I can, and there's some questions about his writing speeches too. And so we think, oh, these people are, they're out of our grasp. They're different people than us. And so, but it's not true. It's not true. They're wonderful people. They did great things, but also they're flawed. And we need to accept that, because then it's easier for us to accept our flaws and understand that we can do similar things. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like, it feels like the lore of the hero in America is a real drawback, because it leads people to believe that they don't have what it takes to do something profound with their own life. And not only that, it's a lie. Like, we should be able to accept people for their what they do and their achievements, and understand that they're flawed. Like, the two things should be able to exist. But in America, it's not. We put people up on pedestals, and then when they screw up, or we find out that they screwed up, well, the fall from grace, canceled. Because that's the way we've been trained to accept these stories. And it's just not true. And so as we move forward, this great awakening, I think that we should acquaint ourselves with the truth and understand that it's nuanced and that it's okay. It's okay. We don't need to be lied to. Abraham Lincoln, the great emancipator, the public image he was that he freed the slaves out of moral conviction. The fuller reality is that he prioritized preserving the Union over abolition, supported colonization, resettling free slaves outside the U.S., only freed enslaved people in Confederate states, not the whole nation, evolved morally over time. He was a great leader, but not the purely moral figure textbooks portray. Harriet Tubman, the Underground Railroad hero, public image, single-handedly rescued hundreds through a secret tunnel system. The reality is the railroad had no tunnels. It was a network of people and safe houses, and Tubman likely rescued around 70 people, not hundreds. Her military contribution in the Civil War gets minimized. She's very heroic, but misrepresented. George Washington, he's seen as the perfect founder. He was noble. Yeah, perfect father of the nation is kind of his public image. He did own slaves. He used deceptive legal loopholes so they wouldn't be freed. He lost more battles than he won. His iconic wooden teeth story hides the fact that they were made in part from teeth purchased from enslaved people. And, you got to put this in context of the time. Again, time to grow up, right? It doesn't mean that these people are awful, okay? Context matters. Nuanced matters. And I think we can all handle this. But if we're going to continue to accept lies and live in, a synthesized version of reality, then my concern is that humans are going to go away, essentially. That's a real concern here. Could we get to a point where we don't even interact as human beings, but that we interact through agents, through a surrogate? Are we really that incapable of handling truth? Are you really that incapable of dealing with the wrinkles on your face? Are you really, you just can't not get the plastic surgery, just so concerned about what other people think about you that you'd rather be represented through an AI version of yourself, an agent? You'd really rather not think and have something else do your thinking? What are you going to do? That's my question to these tech people, to these people who, think that this transition into the digital world is just fantastic. It's fine. It's wonderful. Who cares about reality? Let's live in the virtual world where we can be anything we want to be. What are you going to do with your physical body? Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to sleep all day? Are you going, what are you going to do? Because this ridiculous notion that you're going to travel the world and you're going to just, you're going to just be able to go wherever you want to go and do what you want to do. And you'll be doing things that, your job keeps you from not, doing. Really? Really? I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it because I know human behavior and I know the way humans function, okay? And a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time, there has to be a little bit of pain to take action. You know what I'm saying? Like, people go to work because if they don't go to work, they can't pay their bills. Right? They can't buy food. They can't keep a roof over their head. So the pain of not going to work is far greater than going to work. Okay? And so if you just don't have anything to do, right? Because even when you do what you love, it still works sometimes, right? Because there's these nuances that happen and there's part of the work that you don't really like to do, but you got to do it because it's necessary for you to do the stuff that you do like. Like, that's the real world. And so if you're going to try to tell me that everybody's just not doing what they want to do because they got this crappy job that they got to do, and they're going to send their AI agent out and do the crappy job so that they can do what they really want to do every day, and that will be productive. I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it, because there's a lot more complexity to humans, okay? You don't just learn something and then go apply it. How come? Right? Because there's a lot of people that struggle with their health, right? They know what they should be doing with their health, and some people know a ton about their health, right? They know what they should be eating. They know how they should be exercising. They know how to manage stress. They know all the information, but for some reason, they do not execute. So tell me, what is the gap between knowing and doing? And I'm not shaming anybody here. I'm not shaming anybody. We all do it. Okay? What is the gap in between that? Knowing and doing. What's the gap? It's your neural pathways. It's your patterns of thinking. They are so deep and so much stored in your subconscious that most of what we think about and do every day is on autopilot. And until you become aware that you need to build new neural pathways to create new habits, and every time you're faced with a decision, it's work to make sure that you make the right one. Until you build those new neural pathways, change is not sustainable. It's not as easy as, I'm not going to have to do the stuff I don't want to do anymore. You're telling yourself that, you got something else coming. Stay tuned. This is Naturally Inspired Radio.
Did you know that nearly 70% of Americans struggle with their health every single day? That's why we are reaching out to health professionals and to anyone who simply has a heart for helping people. Right now, there's an opportunity to make a real difference in people's lives while building a flexible income stream for yourself. Whether you're already working in health, wellness, or just passionate about seeing people thrive, we want to connect with you and introduce you to our system. Together, we can provide real solutions that empower people to take control of their health and create lasting impact. If you've been looking for a way to combine purpose with income, this is it. Visit simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. That's simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. We look forward to working with you.
Speaking of the gap, right? If you know what to do, but you're not able to execute, you're not really sure why, or maybe you're confused and you don't know what to do with your health. I have a solution for you. I do a free 30-minute assessment where you can chat with me over Zoom or over the phone. And we go through a little bit of your background and what you're facing, what your concerns are with your health. And I can offer some insights, point you to some information. Of course, I don't give medical advice, but I do connect people to the real solutions for health. And so if that sounds like something that you'd benefit from, head on over to naturallyinspiredstore.com today. Book your assessment with me. Or if you have questions or you just want to touch base first, you can text me at 720-303-8868. Book your assessment today. I have a naturally inspired moment for you that I want to share. I love this. I was inspired myself by this little clip, so I brought it for you to watch before we go into 5 ways to tell if your psychology is actually holding you back, even though your biology isn't. Take a listen and a watch.
At track and field athletes in every race from 100 meters to 10,000 meters. And I looked at the top 8 finishers in every age group in every race that we do not significantly slow down until we're past 70. So between 50 and 70, the guy who won the 1 mile race finished it in 4 minutes and 34 seconds. The same year of the study, the kid that won the high school mile race did it in 4 minutes and 17 seconds. The 70-year-old who won the 1 mile race did it in a little less than 7 minutes. It just shows you that if we're slowing down dramatically before our 70s, we've either decided not to train so hard, we're just not trying anymore. We've been terribly injured, right? And we can't. But it's not because of biology.
Because of psychology.
Exactly. No light bulb goes off.
It is not because of your biology, but maybe it could be because of your psychology. And there are multiple researchers working on this topic now. And I find it so interesting because when I talk to people, a lot of people say, well, you know, I'm getting older. Okay. You know, like the expectation is that you're going to slow down. The expectation is that you're not going to feel well. The expectation is that your mobility is going to get harder. That's what we're trained to expect. But the research shows if you understand how to curate health in your body at a pretty basic level, you know, I'm not talking about doing, you know, performance enhancing drugs here or having to take in synthetics. I'm saying just understanding how your metabolic health works. Understanding glucose level, understanding insulin, inflammation, these things that we talk about here all the time, then you can essentially be living a very high quality of life for 20 years. Between 50 and 70, that's 20 years. So is it your psychology that's holding you back? Let's find out. Because based on research showing physical and cognitive capacity, we remain strong until 70. So here are some ways to check and see if your psychology is holding you back. Number 1, you speak in age scripts that aren't true. If you catch yourself saying things like, well, I'm too old for that, or this is a young person's game, or I don't bounce back like I used to. That's psychology, not biology. So long-term studies from Yale show that people who internalize negative age beliefs experience earlier cognitive and physical decline, not because of aging, but because belief shapes behavior It shapes stress hormones, and it also shapes your motivation. Number 2, you misread fatigue as aging instead of lifestyle. This is a big one. So when people feel tired, when they feel sore, when they feel foggy or slow, they often chalk it up just to age. And you go to the doctor and that's what they'll tell you. Oh, well, you are getting older. Because biology tells a different story. Muscle mass declines only 0.8% per year after 40 unless you strength train. So VO2 max declines slowly until 70. Neuroplasticity remains strong with stimulation. If your first assumption is age instead of habits, psychology is steering your ship. Number 3, you avoid challenges because they feel too big now. Avoidance is a psychological signal. When someone avoids learning new tech, when they avoid starting a business, when they avoid new fitness routines, when they avoid new relationships, or you avoid new skills, it's not that you can't learn it. It's never biology. It's actually your fear or your discomfort or your belief that you're not capable. So research shows psychologists find that perceived effort increases with age, stereotypes, not biological decline. So it's your perception that you're not going to pick up on the tech. It's your perception that, an old dog can't learn new tricks. It's not that you can't. I think it's so important to push yourself to try new things and learn new things all the time, because then you are building that neural pathway of, oh yeah, I learn new things all the time. Whereas people get stuck in habits and they use the same routines over and over again. And then when something new comes along, it's intimidating. But if you're constantly learning new things, it's no big deal, right? Because you have that confidence that you can and you know that you will be able to learn whatever it is that you have to learn. So it's really like a lack of practice of learning new things. And I think, we've all encountered older people that are kind of crabby, especially about change. And I think we should be interpreting that crabbiness as fear, because it's actually a fear and a disbelief that they won't be able to catch on. Number 4, you compare yourself to your younger self instead of your potential self. This is a good one. So a hallmark sign is your psychology is limiting you if you do this. When you measure progress by what you used to do instead of who you could still become. Right? It's not over, and it's never too late. It's never too late. This creates a feedback loop of discouragement and not growth. So don't measure yourself by what you used to do. Start measuring yourself by what you want to do in the future and what is still to come. How close are you to your goals? Studies on future self continuity show that people who see their future self as a competent and capable person outperform peers at every age. So it's truly your view of yourself. Number 5, you believe decline is inevitable instead of optional. You believe it's going to happen no matter what. It's almost like, I remember talking to somebody one time in the running community because, I do all these races and stuff. And it was an older guy and he's talking, well, this is probably going to be my last race. And I'm like, oh, why? Why? And, I'm getting too old to do this stuff anymore. Oh, are you injured? No, I've been doing this for years and I'm just getting too old for it. What? It's just fascinating to me how you build a story for yourself and it doesn't matter if it's the story you want, but it ends up unfolding because you built it. So this is the biggest one. If you carry the belief that decline is unavoidable, you stop pushing yourself. You give yourself excuses, right? Well, I don't have to run that long because, I'm getting older. And you stop growing. You stop challenging yourself, and you put yourself in a vulnerable position too, because like what we just talked about, you don't want to be fearful of learning new things. So make yourself learn new things all the time. All the time. Then it'll never become something that intimidates you to learn something new. You stop adapting. You just stop training as hard, and you stop experimenting. And then the body, well, it follows the mind. This is the central station, right? Your brain is central station. It controls everything, and it will drive you where your thoughts take you, right? It's going to take you to your destination. So if your destination, you're thinking about your destination being getting older, slowing down, that's where it's going to take you. Versus somebody who imagines a new future, imagines, projects that exciting things are still to come, that goals are still here, that you're going to, adapt and learn new things and do new things. And the science says that your biology doesn't even start to slow down until you're 70. And that doesn't mean it's over at 70. I mean, this guy, a 3-minute difference, right? You got young bucks running at 4:13, and then you've got middle-aged people running at like 4:30 or something, and then this 70-year-old goes to 7 minutes. It's a 3-minute difference. Your body is capable. Strength can double in your 60s and 70s with training, and I've seen this. People, women especially, who did not see the value of weight training in their younger years because they didn't want to get too bulky. I don't want to get too bulky. But man, when you get older, you're like, oh my gosh, I want my strength, because muscle has a direct impact on cognitive function. Not only that, it has a direct impact on your independence, because it is the thing that will keep you mobile. And so when you get older, you understand that, and you're like, well, who cares if I get bulky? You're not going to get bulky anyway. It's very difficult to get bulky. But, you're going to be able to get off the toilet by yourself, that's what everybody wants, right? You don't want to be dependent. Everybody wants their independence, and building muscle becomes very important as we get a little bit older. So new neurons still form when you get older. Hormones respond to lifestyle. This is a big one. A lot of people learning this lesson right now because there's too much glucose in the bloodstream. There's too much carbohydrates and too much sugar. And that makes it a lot harder when you start to lose muscle mass to process energy. And so a lot of people are understanding, of course, insulin's a hormone. And it impacts, all the other hormones, cortisol, and you're maybe dropping in estrogen already or testosterone because of, the cycle, the season of the life that you're in. And so people are understanding, I'm just not processing this food the way I used to. That's right. So we have to respond to our hormones with lifestyle. Cardiovascular capacity remains adaptable right up to 70s. Flexibility can be regained at any age. So if you feel stiff right now, doesn't mean it has to stay that way. Practice, practice, practice. Mobility is practiced. Age, it's just a number. Stay tuned, everybody, for the second hour. This is Naturally Inspired Radio.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio, save it to your favorites, and click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, Explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. NaturallyInspiredRadio.com.
Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Welcome back. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert Garcia. And in the first part of the show, if you didn't know, this show is 2 hours. And in the first hour, we've been talking about this move into, the digital revolution and the blurring between reality and this weird synthesized virtual reality that's being pushed upon us. Some people, if you're like me, I'm an analog girl living in a digital world, and it's tough out here. Let me tell you, it's tough. It's really tough. But other people are welcoming in, this digital revolution and the blurring of reality. And just to bring some context into it, I'm saying, this reality that we were living prior to even the digital revolution, it wasn't really truth. And so many people are starting to understand that, right? We're starting to understand that the world didn't work the way we thought it did. That these, establishments, these institutions that projected that they were this way or they were that way, well, turns out not really. And we've got a whole lot of corruption, and we've got a whole lot of things that have opened our eyes. And now we see the world more for what it truly is. And we have to get more comfortable with truth. And that means that we have to understand that, I don't know about you, but do you find as you mature that you find that things are much more nuanced? And so I'm always a little bit skeptical when I hear something's like, like I said, tied up in like a nice little bow, and it's just a perfect little story. And this is what happened, a character starts out down in the dumps, and then, he rises and saves the princess, and they go off happily into the sunset. And that's just not really life most of the time. So every once in a while, maybe that's the way things go down, but it's very rare. And yet we're fed these narratives all the time, and there's agendas behind them a lot of the time. And they're used for control. They're used for, social engineering and to make people think a certain way for a very specific outcome. And so the way that we kind of break through this matrix is we get comfortable with the truth. And we get comfortable with the fact that, hey, man, these people were great people and they did awesome things. But life is nuanced. And so they're not going to be the squeaky clean, perfect image of a hero. And I've been telling you, I've taken a few minutes every show lately, especially recently started doing this because, there's a huge attack on America. And there's a lot of people that want to influence, everybody saying, oh, you don't even have any culture. America has no culture and all that. So, I want to talk about the flip side of the fact that why America creates kind of mythological heroes. Why do we do that? And there's a good reason for it. There's value in it. Okay, there is some value in elevating a hero, and we do it in America's culture, because we're a young nation, and compared to ancient civilizations, we didn't inherit centuries of shared folklore, or royalty, or mythology. So instead, we build our identity around symbolic individuals. So the founders, warriors, rebels, innovators, reformers, athletes, entertainers, because these figures become national anchors, especially during periods of uncertainty. So countries create heroic myths to inspire unity. A simplified hero, though, gives the public a common figure to rally around. So everything's simplified. It's like, what? Why do we need to dumb everything down? Especially in this age of the digital revolution and AI, I'm constantly talking about upregulating consciousness, right? Working on our higher faculties, pushing ourselves to develop what we're capable of with our consciousness. It's so important right now because that's what makes us human. Our consciousness is that thing that nobody really knows how to explain, but that is really fascinating and incredible about being human. And so that's where we need to be developing. But listen, we can't develop our higher faculties when we're living in lies. When we're not even strong enough to accept the truth about things. It's something we really have to work on. It's okay. People aren't perfect. Nobody said they were gonna be. So we need heroes, But we need a call to like real people that did do great things, but also don't have to be so squeaky clean and perfect. Because it does unify us. A simplified hero, like I said, gives the public a common figure to rally around. But so I'm willing to bet a more complex hero can bring unity even more. Because there's more relatability there. Like I said, people are inspired. You don't have to be perfect. Because you're inspired by relatability. If someone does something and you know they're not perfect, it gives you that extra, like, you know, confidence that you could do stuff too. Heroes also are put in place to teach moral lessons. And sometimes stories are edited into cleaner narratives that teach values more easily. Do we really need that? You know? It's also heroes are used to build a national identity. So humans understand identity through story, and nations do the same. It creates emotional stability. People want someone bigger to believe in during turmoil. Also, selling a narrative. Governments, media, and institutions have always used symbolism to maintain social cohesion. The name of romanticizing reality is mythologizing. And that's what we've been doing, I think, in our country for a long time. And a lot of it, I think, is unbeknownst to us, right? Because we know what we know what we're taught in school, and we accept it. And then, you know, we get very emotional about it. We get very passionate about it. And anybody says anything bad about MLK, how dare you? You know, it's like, no, it's great. He's great. He's great. But also, you know, there's these things too. It's okay. It's okay. And we're really good at elevating people in this country. In fact, that is part of our culture. Very strong cheerleaders. And that's a wonderful part of our culture. But I think we can be really strong cheerleaders for people that are real. You know, with all their bumps and bruises. We've got to bring back context as well, right? We've had this political correct firestorm has been going on for decades now, right? Everything's got to be politically correct. And if you're not politically correct, well, then you're canceled. And we've got to get away from that because there's context, right? Culture changes. Culture changes. And the things that were done back then, sure, they're not right by today's standards, but you have to put them in context. And a lot of these, you know, politically correct social issue warriors out there, they don't have the capability to do that, to put it into context, right? And that's not helping us. That's hurting us because we're beating ourselves up for things people did many, many years ago. And we're supposed to be paying the price for that. Again, it's a strategy to detach you from your culture. And again, if you don't claim your culture, somebody else will. And right now, there's a lot of people willing and ready to claim your American culture and turn it into something that it was never intended to be. So understand that heroes are a good thing, but let's bring some truth back into it. Let's bring some reality back into it because we are great at cheerleading. And we can be great at cheerleading the truth because that is what we truly need here in America. Let's get to some news, okay? Because there's some crazy stuff going on in the news. I want to hit this clip before we go to the break. So let's go there first. This is about your electricity, people. Take a listen to this gem.
I'm going to show you the craziest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. You ready? This is our electric bill for 1 month. We live in the beautiful state of Connecticut. our total supply that we used for the month was $236.71. The transmission was $87.01. The local delivery, I don't know how the fuck they deliver it, but we have to pay for it. It's $175.16. And then we have a thing called public benefits. So this is the people who can't pay for their electric bill. And we pay for it. It's $227.76. So I am paying to keep somebody else's lights on. Excuse me, what? Make it make sense.
Everybody, welcome to the age of data centers and how energy and getting the energy for these data centers is the mechanism they're going to be weaponizing against us, if you can say. They've already been doing that, stripping us of our incandescent light bulbs, trying to strip us from every little bit of energy that we use. I'll tell you what this is all about when we come back. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. See you in a minute.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturallyinspiredradio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturallyinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Welcome back. We have clean clinical protocols for inflammation, for hormones, for hair loss, for mobility, for blood pressure, for all kinds of things at naturallyinspiredstore.com. Go visit them. Jason's done a wonderful job at kind of rebuilding this website to make it easy because people they want to know what they need. You know, they got blood pressure issue. I want to know what I need. I'm losing my hair. I want to know what I need. I've got inflammation. What do I take? And so we're trying to make it as simple as possible. And we've done that with clean clinical protocols over at naturallyinspiredstore.com. Check it out today. Don't waste your time wandering around the aisles of the big box stores. Should I buy this? Should I buy that? Is it glucosamine? Is it this? Is it that? I don't know. What do I take? What do I do? I took all the guesswork out of it. You can do a free 30-minute assessment with me and we can have a discussion about it. Or if you think, I think I'll just take a peek around, just head on over to naturallyinspiredstore.com. If you have any questions, 720-303-8868. Yes, friends, this electricity, this is terrifying, isn't it? At an almost $1,200 electricity bill in the state of Connecticut. So what are all these fees, right? She breaks it down here. So we're paying for other people's electricity now? Apparently we are. Here's why I think that's happening, everybody. Data centers are driving up electricity bills. So these states, in certain states, they're becoming hubs for AI and biotech and cloud computing and digital storage. And data centers are the engine behind all of it. So data centers use massive amounts of electricity. A single facility can consume as much power as 30,000 homes. So they require enormous amounts of power, and AI data centers especially draw constant electricity to run servers, processors, cooling systems, backup systems, and 24/7 operations. This creates new peak in demand that local grids were not built for. So utilities must build new infrastructure, and ratepayers are funding it. When a data center comes in, utilities got to add new transmission lines, new substations. They got to upgrade transformers. They need more grid capacity. And so utilities pass these upgrades costs to the public through higher rates, even though the data center is the one driving the demand. And this is the single biggest reason that bills are rising. Data centers don't always pay their fair share, you don't say. Many states allow data centers to receive tax incentives. They get reduced energy rates. They get exemptions and special contracts in the city. So this means regular households and small businesses absorb the costs. And some of these eastern states already have some of the highest energy prices in the country because they rely heavily on natural gas, expensive regional grid imports, limited local energy infrastructure, and added strain pushes prices even higher. So small increases in demand, large increases in cost. AI is causing electricity use to spike faster than predicted. So AI supercomputing creates unusual intense power needs. Google, Amazon, and Microsoft are building new AI clusters in the Northeast, and grid planners admit the load growth is unprecedented. So when that demand surges faster than supply grows, prices go up, and you and I pay for that. Data centers consume power constantly. So unlike a home, which fluctuates, right? They go full throttle all the time, 24 hours a day, every day. And this creates constant baseline demand. So capacity costs, grid stabilization fees, long-term utility investments, the bills are reflecting these fixed costs. And cooling systems, of course, right? Cooling systems pull electricity as well. And most people don't realize this. Up to 40% of a data center's electricity goes into cooling it. More heat, more cooling, more electricity. It's all higher grid pressure. The public doesn't see the connection on their bills because they label it different things. Delivery charges, she just said. I don't know how they deliver it. This is what they're labeling your bill as: delivery charges, capacity charges, supply rates. It's not itemized as data center fee, but these components rise because the grid must handle industrial scale digital facilities. So that's what's going to be happening with electricity. I think they've already seen an uptick in other countries, and we're going to start seeing it here in the United States. A $1,100 electricity bill? You know, it just blows my mind. It blows my mind. We also have an additional issue here, and I thought this was kind of interesting. We have an upcoming problem with air conditioning, apparently. Jamie Kennedy explains. Take a listen to this.
You're speaking out and warning about a national air conditioning crisis that's budding in this country.
There was a big thing called the Kigali Agreement.
Yeah.
It was happening around the world. Everybody, for global warming and such, let's do something better. So they came up with a new refrigerant. The problem is this refrigerant is now more flammable than the old refrigerant, okay? And it also has something called PFAs, which are forever chemicals, which you cannot get rid of, okay? It's then $75 to replace a canister is now $750 to $1,200. That's a 1,000 to 1,500% increase, okay? People don't realize it's an issue. I was sitting in a high-end restaurant in WeHo. Yeah. It was hot. I go, what's up? You go, turn the air conditioning on. He goes, it's really expensive. This is a problem. It's going to outlaw all the parts. People are going to have to reconfigure all their air conditioning.
And it's happening soon.
It was supposed to be 15 years for the world to transfer. Guess what? We have 15 months in America. It started January 1st. We have 4 months left.
We're going to talk to Lee Zeldin about that next time I talk.
What do you think's the motivator behind that? I mean, I hate to go all conspiratorial on you, but I've been telling you for months now, right? We've been talking about it and covering stories about it. Energy is the new commodity, right? Because without energy is the only thing holding back AI right now. They need more energy, more juice, right? It is, and they are stripping every tiny bit they can from the population. You pleb are not permitted to have energy, only a little bit, right? What do you think the energy impact of no AC would be? How much energy is America using on air conditioning that could be funneled into, say, data centers? So, we got to look at all possibilities here, but there's definitely keep your eyes on energy, right? Start preparing for energy outages and, scarcity in terms of energy, because everything we have is going into the AI race. Everything is going into the digital revolution. And so I bring it up because, of course, this impacts health, right? Without air conditioning, especially with elderly people, it's very dangerous for people who are older, who don't have air conditioning in some of these, hotter states. And then electricity bills. I mean, you think about, families. I read a statistic yesterday that it's about $7,368 a month for a family of 4. Operational costs with a house payment, car payments, childcare, insurance, food, just the basics. Can you imagine a $1,100 electricity bill in your mailbox when the cost of living is already $7,300? Like, I'm thinking about young families here. This could be catastrophic. Catastrophic, right? Send people into bankruptcy. I mean, it's an issue. And I don't think people see it coming. I don't think a lot of people see it coming because, we're getting a lot of press conferences about how the price of everything is coming down and everything is, the economy's the best. And I'm just not seeing it in reality. I'm not seeing it so much in reality. I'm seeing, our younger generation especially feeling quite depressed and hopeless because what they thought they would be able to achieve seems out of reach. And certainly the culture reflects that. We have people like Nick Fuentes, who is, he is probably the biggest influence over, young males right now in the country. His numbers would reflect that. And why? Because he's speaking to this issue. He's speaking to this issue that, hey, the American dream just might not be for you. It's out of your reach. Everything is changing, right? Is home ownership even going to be a thing in the future? That's a legitimate question that young people have. We have young people that don't even want to have kids because, it just makes me, wince because I can't imagine giving up that. I don't even want to have kids because the future is so bleak. The cost of living is so high. Not even to mention all the other social warrior stuff about the climate and the climate cult stuff and all that. That's totally false. But, there are people that are speaking to those topics, and that's resonating with that demographic. And I understand why. It feels like they are going to milk and strip everything they can from the population and give it to this digital revolution that most of us don't even want. and that we had no say in. We're never asked about it, no national discussion, just full speed ahead. Stay tuned, everybody. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. I got more stories for you. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be right back.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Fellas, do you want to win this holiday season? Do you want to knock it out of the park? I can help. Let me tell you, I can help. If you need gift consulting, let me help you make a big impression this holiday season. Give the gift of wellness. Let me tell you, people tell me all the time, oh, I really want to get that skincare. That's on my wish list. I don't think I can buy it for myself, but I really want it. I put it on my wish list. I know what they want. I know what they want. They want incredible skincare. They want clean skincare. Nobody wants that toxic stuff anymore. Everybody's on to the toxic. They want clean skincare that works. They want wellness products that enhance their life. They want the tools they need to feel their very best. And I can help you get it for them. So book a gift consultation with me at naturallyinspiredstore.com. And I can put together packages that are just lovely. And within your price range, of course, we're not going to go crazy. But I'd love to help you give the gift that keeps on giving, which is wellness. Really, so many people want to purchase more things for their health, but they feel like, they shouldn't indulge or what have you, or they have budget restrictions. It's a wonderful gift to give. So clean wellness products, and you'll get a huge win this holiday season. Book a gift consult with me at naturallyinspiredstore.com. Processed food is something interesting going on here. I have a little story to share with you about processed food. It might not be exactly what you think, but take a listen to this and then we'll discuss.
Are on nearly every shelf in nearly every grocery store across the country. Ultra-processed foods now make up over 50% of the American diet.
Our case is about companies who design food to be harmful and addictive.
In San Francisco today, City Attorney David Chu announced the first government lawsuit of its kind against 11 companies that manufacture ultra-processed foods, including breakfast titan Kellogg and beverage maker Coca-Cola, accusing them of using unfair and deceptive marketing to sell food.
We've known for a long time that the ingredients in many of these ultra-processed foods are unhealthy. Why now?
We have all suspected for a long time that food that is not food were likely not good for us, but it took many years for the science to catch up.
Research has linked ultra-processed foods to obesity, type 2 diabetes, and cancer. In a statement, a trade group representing many of the companies named in the lawsuit said there is currently no agreed upon scientific definition of ultra-processed foods, and that calling them unhealthy is misleading to consumers.
There's a clear definition in California law on what ultra-processed foods are. We look forward to having that discussion in court.
And San Francisco has a history of taking on big business. They previously sued and won multi-million-dollar lawsuits against big tobacco, lead paint, and opioid manufacturers.
Let me translate this for you, will you? Because I don't know what that was. That was one big old propaganda campaign. That's what that was. So their case, as this lawyer states, our case is about it is about liability. Okay, this is called being very proactive because you know who approved all these foods? Guess who approved all these additives, all these chemicals, all these products? But, you know, with the institutions like the FDA and the CDC and all these institutions, no news is good news, right? They never put it in writing. They don't put anything in writing. If you don't hear from us, that means you're approved. And so what they're doing here, everybody, these are the biggest food companies in the world. They provide 70 to 80% of the food you see in your supermarket. Okay. They make everything. They're not just junk food. They make everything, every product you could imagine. So this is called being proactive. That's what this is. We're going to sue you so that we don't have to shoulder the liability when the American public finds out just how incredibly toxic this food is. Because that's a coming, right? Because we're in the era of truth here, right? We're in the great awakening. Everybody's waking up and they're understanding. And there's going to be some people aren't going to be too happy about it. And that's going to open things wide up. Once we acknowledge that this stuff is poison, we're going to have to, navigate really what happened here, because lobbyists, well, they paid to play, and that controlled the food pyramid, where people are telling you need 6 or 7, big helpings of carbohydrates every day, which leads to insulin resistance and ultimately diabetes. But that whole food pyramid was bought and paid for by industry, by the lobbyists, right? And then you got your little institutions over here, that have their nonprofit little arms off them, right? Like the CDC. The CDC is an institution, but it's got this nice little CDC foundation where it can take monies in by donation, of course, right? Everybody has those. And they approved all this crap. They approved all this crap. You see, other countries didn't. They said, no, not that they're any better, but, they said, no, we're not going to allow that. We can't outright kill the people. They'll catch us. That's what I feel like happened. But not our government. Our government was like, sure, pay us your user fees at the FDA and we'll approve you. Pay us, you lobbyists, and we'll fight for you. We'll get that food passed. We'll get that additive passed. We'll get that, aspartame passed. Just about, great. They're going to go after these 11 companies to clean up their processed food. Great. After how long? And it's self-serving. You think they care about your health? For goodness, they mandated the vax. They mandated the vaccines, for goodness sakes, and now they're going after processed foods. They're eking along just, so timidly about the vaccine. 10 children were killed by the COVID vaccine. 10. It's a few more than 10. I'll just, spoiler alert. Not to mention all the other vaccine injury that has occurred, right? Speaking of vaccine injury, it's just mainstream now. Now we're just accepting it. It's everywhere. Listen to this.
FDA sat on some pre-you, obviously, during the Biden administration, sat on some research that showed that there was a huge risk for teenage boys of taking the vaccine.
Yeah, the heart
the
complication.
mRNA.
Yeah, myocarditis. So we discovered that after we came here. They sat on data on the myocarditis risk. And the tragedy is thousands of American kids got myocarditis.
That's criminal.
It was entirely avoidable.
Right.
You could have just said, hey, we don't know if you need 2 doses, or space the doses out, or 1, or you could have been honest that we don't know if any young, healthy kid has died of COVID.
They didn't. They didn't die of COVID. You had to have comorbidities to die from COVID. And there had to be maybe, getting admitted into the hospital. That was a big problem from dying from COVID, is if you went to the hospital, right? You went under the deadly protocols of remdesivir and ventilation. That was a problem. But for the most part, I think they don't know. They don't know. Yeah, it's funny how they don't know, because, if you don't have data, then there's no way to prove anything, right? So it's better. This is the way these institutions work. They just don't do it. We won't do the research on that, because if we do the research on that, we know where it's going. So we just won't do it. If we don't do the research, then we don't know. Just like there was never any safety studies done on the childhood vaccine schedule. What are you talking about? Yes, there is. Yes, there is. No, there wasn't. Because if there was, when Bobby Kennedy subpoenaed HHS, they would have had to give them to them, and they could not provide them because there were none. That's the way they roll. Less is more for them. And they sat on this data because people were screaming it all over the place. Oh, myocarditis. I remember, it makes me so mad. I remember seeing mothers in emergency rooms filming their sons or their daughters in being admitted into the emergency room with myocarditis, filming, saying, hey, we're in the ER. He's got a little myocarditis, but don't let that stop you from getting your kid vaccinated. I would do it again. The craziest stuff, right? The craziest stuff. Like I said at the beginning of the show, right? COVID made people, it didn't change people. It just highlighted who people really were publicly. Now you know. Now you know, right? Now you know who's a snitch. Now you know who's weak. Now you know who doesn't value freedom. Now you know. Don't forget, right? Don't forget. Everybody seems to be willing to forget. Like they're admitting, oh, yes, they did have the data that these injections caused myocarditis, which, by the way, is a very serious condition. You need your heart to live. You need it. The life expectancy of myocarditis outside of this particular mRNA injection is 5 years. Now, that doesn't mean that this mRNA-induced myocarditis is going to produce the same result of 5 years, because we don't know. This is a new technology, mRNA. It's new. So we don't know how this myocarditis is going to play out. But everybody should have been given that informed consent. And you weren't. Because these people are liars, they're cheats, and they're not to be trusted. They're not to be trusted. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with your health topic.
Did you know that nearly 70% of Americans struggle with their health every single day? That's why we are reaching out to health professionals. and to anyone who simply has a heart for helping people. Right now, there's an opportunity to make a real difference in people's lives while building a flexible income stream for yourself. Whether you're already working in health, wellness, or just passionate about seeing people thrive, we want to connect with you and introduce you to our system. Together, we can provide real solutions that empower people to take control of their health and create lasting impact. If you've been looking for a way to combine purpose with income, this is it. Visit simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. That's simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. We look forward to working with you.
Need real solutions for health? We got them. Head on over to naturallyinspiredstore.com. Connect to real solutions for health. Always live in prevention. It's a foundation of health, and I teach it. I teach it every Tuesday night on our weekly wellness workshops. I teach it through our free 30-minute assessments. If you want to learn more and connect to real solutions for health, book an appointment with me at naturallyinspiredstore.com. We also have clean protocols available for purchase right over there. If you have any questions, just text me 720-303-8868. Today, your health topic is about blood pressure. Been getting a lot of questions about blood pressure recently. And so I thought this would be a good time to just dive into a few things about it. So I have a little bit of, I have about 7 talking points I want to discuss about blood pressure, why it happens, and hopefully bring some insights for you. So one of the main reasons of high blood pressure is insulin resistance. I know I sound like a broken record, but all the science is pointing here. Metabolic health is absolutely key because insulin resistance can compress arteries. So it stiffens the arteries and causes them to thicken over time. When arteries lose elasticity, the heart must pump harder to push blood through them. So high blood pressure is often a blood sugar problem in disguise, right? You've been told it's a fat problem, right? A plaque problem. You're eating too much red meat. You're eating too much fat. It's really a sugar problem. Also, low potassium and high sodium equals electrical imbalance. Not that salt is bad, but the imbalance is an issue. So blood pressure is electrical. It's not just fluid volume. So you need to recognize that people are severely potassium deficient. And when potassium is low, sodium gets trapped, vessels can't relax, pressure increases, and the heart beats harder. The issue isn't too much salt, though. It's important to emphasize that. It's not enough potassium. Again, the body needs balance, right? It's about your balance. Stress hormone keeps vessels in constant contraction. So cortisol tightens your arteries. Adrenal stress, from things like caffeine, too much screen time, sleep loss, emotional strain, it squeezes the vascular system. And this creates racing heart. It can create pounding pulse, elevated baseline blood pressure, and chronic stress will shrink your highways. So I always say that your body operates like traffic, right? And so it creates congestion in the body. Another one is fatty liver. So when you have a fatty liver, you have thick, sludgy blood. And when the liver is inflamed or fatty, it can't clear triglycerides, toxins, or even hormones efficiently. So this creates thick blood or sticky blood that requires higher pressure to circulate. And the heart has to push harder, not because it's weak, but because the liver is overwhelmed. The kidney sodium pump gets overloaded as well with high insulin and low potassium, which reduces kidney filtration efficiency. The kidneys retain sodium and fluid, raising volume in the pipes. So this is what one doctor I follow, Dr. Berg, calls salt trapping. And not because of salt intake, but because the body can't regulate electrolytes properly. Hidden nutrient deficiencies. This is a big one, and I truly believe that all dis-ease starts with deficiency. So 2 major deficiencies that contribute to high blood pressure: magnesium, because magnesium relaxes smooth muscle tissue in your blood vessels, and vitamin D. People are chronically deficient in vitamin D. Vitamin D regulates it regulates your ability to be able to keep metabolism moving. So many different things in your body that vitamin D does. So whether it's low or vessels stay tight, your pressure will climb if you have nutrient deficiencies. So very common. I feel like we drink too much coffee. For one thing, coffee depletes magnesium, and we're a caffeinated nation. So if you're not supplementing with magnesium, you should be. And if you're not supplementing with vitamin D, you should be, because this helps keeps the vessels smooth and in efficient operation. Visceral fat around organs triggers vascular inflammation. So fat around the organs releases inflammatory signals, or what is called cytokines, and those stiffen the arteries as well. So it'll increase your resting heart rate, and it creates dysfunction. And this is why even losing 5 to 10 pounds can drop your blood pressure, put you in a whole different category. 5 pounds. The body's so resilient. It's absolutely amazing. So I want to talk a little bit about what kinds of tools you can use for support with your blood pressure. If high blood pressure is the result of tight arteries and oxidative stress and poor kidney filtration, low potassium and magnesium, insulin resistance, and a high inflammatory load, then a wonderful way to control that is with our blood pressure protocol, because we have things like grapeseed extract, resveratrol in our liquid gel cap Vivix, because it's potent polyphenols, that's proven to restore mitochondrial function. It reduces oxidative stress that stiffen arteries, helps support healthy nitric oxide pathways. It also supports liver detoxification, which is critical for that sludgy blood. Omega Guards, and these are pharmaceutical grade omega-3s, are Omega Guard. It lowers vascular inflammation. It improves your triglycerides. It keeps arteries flexible. It supports hormones and cortisol regulation. And magnesium, of course, my preferred magnesium is the magnesium blend. It relaxes arterial smooth muscle. It supports potassium balance. Low magnesium is directly linked to elevated blood pressure. It also supports healthy stress response. And this is your Relax the Pipes supplement. It relaxes everything. Blood sugar balance. This is great for regulating, obviously, blood sugar, and it has to be used with lifestyle and nutrition approach as well. So you can't take protocols and then, pile in sugar and think, these protocols are covering me. They work synergistically with lifestyle practices, right? So low sugar, high protein, and then use these as tools, like use the blood sugar complex as a tool to help regulate your blood sugar and the food that you take in, because it reduces the arterial stiffening from high insulin. So it's a support. One of my favorite products is the Liver DTX. This helps clear hormones. It thins blood. It reduces liver inflammation, improves your circulation. So if your liver is overloaded, blood pressure often rises. So this is a great fit because it addresses artery stiffness, oxidative stress, low magnesium, insulin resistance, fatty liver, kidney and electrolyte imbalance, and vascular inflammation. So if you want to take a look at it, all you have to do is head over to the naturallyinspiredstore.com. We'll have our blood pressure protocol up there, easy for you to find. You don't have to suffer in silence, you know. There's also an emotional component to our health that I think, doesn't get much attention. And when we're dealing with issues like this, we have to take we are synergistic beings. So we have to take a synergistic approach. I know the allopathic model has conditioned us, take pills and wait. But you're leaving a lot on the table when you do that. You have so many tools right inside your body that you can access. Yesterday, we talked about visualization, right? Having an image for what your healthy body parts look like. Super important. Do you know what a healthy heart looks like? I mean, do you have a real vision for what a healthy heart looks like? Do you know what healthy lungs look like? Do you know what healthy blood looks like? Because when you can't, it's harder to achieve something when you don't have a vision for what it even looks like. So that's no different than with blood pressure, right? People battle blood pressure for years, and it's kind of like whack-a-mole. They're like, oh, is it my stress? Or, oh, is it my diet? Or, oh, is it this genetic thing, right? It's about getting a rhythm down to support your health. Getting a rhythm of lifestyle, high protein diet, healthy fat diet, low sugar, right? Low sugar. It's about supplementation to support, because we don't get the nutrients we need through our food alone. So you need to support yourself with supplementation. Okay. It's about stress management as well. Because if you're chronically stuck in fight or flight, then you're dealing with the cortisol hormone, and you cannot heal when you're in fight or flight. So it's synergistic. There must be movement, right? Stuck energy in the body, it needs to come out of the body. It needs to be expressed. Otherwise, we experience congestion. Right? In those highways that I'm always talking about. You don't want to have a traffic jam in your body. You don't want congestion. You want things to flow out, everything moving in a clean way. Sugar, sticky blood causes congestion, right? Sedentary lifestyle causes congestion. So it's about clearing congestion, but synergistically. Stress causes congestion in the body. So it's about tackling it from all these different ways to bring real health back into the body and create homeostasis and balance in the body. It's not about, tackling this one area, which is what the allopathic model will do, right? They throw everybody on medication. They don't give them informed consent about the long-term effects of blood pressure medication. Inevitably always leads to edema, right? Swelling, and so much more. So do what you need to do now and get to root cause. Thanks so much for tuning in today, everybody. This has been Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert Garcia. I'm so glad you joined me. We'll see you next time.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio, save it to your favorites, and click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. naturallyinspiredradio.com.